Hi everyone, my name is Tom and my case study student is Joseph, who is a 6-year-old boy with a hearing impairment. Joseph comes from a family with no previous genetic history for a hearing loss, but after Joseph was born he was taken for an auditory brainstem response test, or an ABR, and an auditory steady state response test, or an ASSR, and these tests showed that Joseph had a moderate level of sensorineural hearing loss. Upon further examination, Joseph was deemed to have structural damage to his cochlear, which is preventing him from receiving sounds accurately, and prompted his family and his parents to get him fitted for hearing aids. When Joseph entered school, he was classified with a hearing impairment under the IDEA and immediately received an IEP, which listed the necessary accommodations and modifications that he needed to receive when he entered the classroom. The greatest accommodation listed for him was the use of an FM transmitter, which would be used to relay sounds from the teacher directly into his hearing aids. In the classroom, Joseph is an incredibly kind boy. He's well liked by his classmates, and his classmates enjoy working with him, but struggle to engage with him in conversation. He's a shy, very shy boy. Joseph struggles with the use of clear, expressive language, and is reluctant at times to join in conversations, and especially relevant during group work. One of Joseph's IEP goals that's addressed throughout this lesson is to engage effectively in a variety of collaborative activities with his peers. For the lesson that I've chosen to teach, it's an egg carton coin toss addition and subtraction lesson. The central focus is going to be for the students to be able to use number bonds to add and subtract numbers within 20. Throughout the math units, throughout this math unit in particular, students have been working on understanding the value each number has and using number bonds to break apart large numbers into smaller numbers that are easier to work with. To begin this lesson, the teacher is going to review adding and subtracting using the counting on strategy on a number line. That number line will be displayed on the smartboard, but a printout would look like this. It has a clear number line on the bottom, an example, and then an example of counting starting from 3, moving on to 7 by adding 4. So that's going to be displayed, and that's going to be our just reviewing some of our prior knowledge in the lesson. During this time, as well as the times throughout the lesson that the teacher is going to be talking, he'll be using a microphone that's paired to Joseph's personal FM system. That's going to allow him to hear what the teacher is explaining a little bit more clearly. So the teacher is going to then introduce the skill of creating equivalent known sums by modeling how to decompose one number into 2 smaller numbers that are easier to add together or subtract using a number bond. So the strategy is going to be displayed on the smartboard, similar to how the number line was, which will be referenced during the guided practice portion of this lesson. So that will look like this. So as you can see, there is a clear example here by breaking apart that number 8 into 3 and 5. The 7 and the 3 make it easier to add together to make 10, which is an easier number to add together with the remaining 5 to get 15. And this will stay up on the smartboard as the students practice with their guided practice portion of the lesson, which is the egg carton activity. According to Cook, Klein, and Chen, the development of positive social skills is crucial to the successful inclusion of children with special needs in community-based settings. Social skills are also essential to the emotional well-being of young children because such skills enable them to develop friendships and self-esteem. For this reason, the major activity during the guided practice portion of the lesson is going to help foster those positive social skills by allowing the students to work with a partner, which will be particularly helpful for Joseph because he'll be paired with a more social peer that's going to help kind of elicit some responses in him. During the activity, the students are going to be participating in an egg carton coin toss in pairs. It's going to be played like a game. So the egg carton looks like this. As you can see, there are numbers inside of the egg carton. The students will then be tasked with tossing a coin into the egg carton, which will give them a number. They will then use those 2 numbers that they toss to, they will write them on their whiteboard, personal whiteboards, and then they will solve that problem using the strategy that was taught at the beginning of the lesson. Since Joseph is again, like I said before, since he's kind of more reluctant to become involved in those social situations, he's going to be paired with a higher level social skills student, which, according to Cook, Klein, and Chen, it's ideal to select coach peers who have higher level social skills than children with special need than the children with special needs. So in this case, Joseph, especially when working with groups. So this student that Joseph's going to be paired with is going to help elicit responses in him and aid in addressing Joseph's IEP goal of using clear expressive language during peer interactions. Additionally, according to Cook, Klein, and Chen text, play develops creativity and increases the child's repertoire of responses, which will also help address that goal for Joseph. After participating in the activity, the students are going to be given a chance to complete an independent practice worksheet. That worksheet is going to look like this. There will be one example that's completed by the teacher at the top, which when they're copied for the students to use, that will be also displayed for them just to help them in completing the rest of the worksheet. During that time, the teacher is going to going to call groups to conference with them, with him at the back table. And what the teacher is going to do is make sure that Joseph's in one of those groups in order to kind of give him a smaller setting that he feels more comfortable in asking questions and trying to talk to his peers in a smaller social setting. During that time as well, the teacher will make sure that he asks clarifying questions to Joseph just to make sure that he's comfortable with the concepts that were taught throughout the lesson and what he did in the guided practice portion as well. So those groups also, the remaining students, not just Joseph, that will be called, are going to be based off of the observation checklist that the teacher will complete during the guided practice activity, which will kind of easily assess the student's ability to add and subtract correctly and use their number bonds correctly that were taught in the as the central focus of the lesson. And it also allows a little section for notes for the teacher just to comment on anything else that they observe that he needs to meet with the students about. After the independent practice portion and the students have had the chance to ask questions, there will be an exit ticket, which will serve as another form of an assessment, which will give no chance to have a number bond to observe when completing one addition and one subtraction problem, which kind of help to tie back to the objectives for the lesson of being able to use number bonds to help add and subtract numbers within 20. So that's my lesson. I hope to hear back from many of you guys about what you thought, and I look forward to hearing those responses. Thank you so much.